Now let's turn to Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia and NBC News international affairs analyst. Michael, it's great to have you. There's a lot to try and understand here. I guess the first is, what do you make of this arrangement here? It is asymmetrical, undoubtedly, but both Brittney Griner and Viktor Bout are effectively celebrities in their respective countries. The Russians, it appears, know a lot about Viktor Bout, and he is more known there than he is here, obviously, in the way that Brittney Griner is an important asset, if you will, in terms of American culture and sports. What do you make of the deal?
I support the deal. I think it's fantastic that Brittney Griner's coming home. These are hard calls. I was in the government. I was at the White House when he was convicted, Viktor Bout. You asked about the Obama administration officials. I'm one of them. This guy's a really, really bad guy. As you rightly hinted at, probably connected to intelligence services. And they've been trying to get him out ever since I was at the White House. And when I was the U.S. ambassador to Russia, Putin has wanted him out for a long, long time. The Biden team and ultimately the president had to make that really hard choice that you two were just discussing. They got to the point in the negotiations where it was either one for one or nobody. And the president and his team, but the president ultimately had to make this decision, decided, I want to take that deal. It's not an easy deal. It is a tragedy that Paul Whelan is still in jail. He's been there for a long time, wrongly. It's a tragedy, by the way, Mark Fogel is still in jail. They keep saying the other Americans. I actually happen to know one of them personally because he was a teacher to my kids when I was a U.S. ambassador. He shouldn't be in jail either, but we had a choice to make, and they decided to take the deal. I think it's the right decision, and maybe it will lead to other decisions down the road, other trades that they might be able to make.
What does Bout mean to Putin in terms of the symbolism of this? Because there is some talk that he was close to senior advisors to Putin, many of which it sounds like have been sidelined in recent months over the war in Ukraine. Is this a peace offering in a way to them? I'm just trying to look for a little Kremlinology in terms of what this signals about Putin's power.
So, Putin himself came from the KGB, right? Remember, he is a former intelligence officer, but you're never former. You're part of a special club. And when they talk about each other, they say, we never leave anybody behind. And in my own negotiations about Viktor Bout many, many years ago, you could tell that this was important for Putin personally, that they would get him out of jail. And therefore, this is a huge victory for Vladimir Putin. You're exactly right, Alex. He is a very well-known figure inside Russia. They think they use the phrase wrongfully detained too back in their country. And so this is a fantastic win for Vladimir Putin, whether it's related to other intelligence officers paying him off. I've seen a lot of speculation about that. I think this is actually important to Putin. And from his perspective, this was a very good deal.
What did Griner mean to Putin? Because back in the 1930s, the Soviet Union used anti-racist propaganda to lure African Americans to come live in America. We have a history with Russia where Russia capitalizes on social unrest to make America look bad. Brittney Griner has been somewhat of a notorious figure among certain conservative Republicans who do not like her criticism of the United States by bending a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance or during the opening ceremonies of sports games.
Right.
I wonder if you think that she had a symbolic place in Russia, given the history with the U.S. and Russia on race.
It's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to it. I think probably not. I think we're over speculating here. I think when she was arrested at the airport, they got lucky because of her mistake. And they knew that they had somebody that they could leverage to get somebody out like Viktor Bout. I think that's the way they were thinking about it. The other historical stuff, and maybe that played a role, but I don't think so. I think they finally thought that we finally have somebody that we can get Bout out of jail, and it turned out to be true.
And so you think this was basically all the long game to get Viktor Bout back?
I do. It's been a really long game. I was in government almost a decade ago. They were every single meeting that Sergei Lavrov, their foreign minister, had with either Secretary Clinton or Secretary Kerry when I was in the government. His name came up. They wanted him, and Putin personally wanted him out. I think that's important for people to understand. Putin personally wanted him out. And so when they arrested Griner, I think they figured out we finally have the ticket to release our guy.
Wow. What do you think this signals? I was asking Karine Jean-Pierre whether this signals any sort of, I'm not going to say warming relations, but is this a future avenue for negotiations down the line? I'm not sure that it sounded like it was. What do you make of the fact that this negotiation even happened at this moment when U.S.-Russia relations are the worst they've been since the Cold War?
So tragically, I think we've gotten pretty good at stovepiping different issues, right? Because we have to. Because if you linked everything, you would never get anything done. So this is a good sign in that respect. We're getting this deal done. Maybe we can stovepipe arms control negotiations, because I think we need to do that as well. But it doesn't mean it's going to lead to better negotiations over Ukraine or any other issue for that matter. I see little linkage between this breakthrough, a very positive breakthrough, and the rest of the agenda, which, as you said, I think you got to go deep into the Cold War, maybe all the way back to 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, to remember a time when relations have been so bad. This day, a great day in and of itself, is not going to change that overall dynamic.
Mike, you bring up the really important fact. Diplomacy is hard. Hostage negotiations are difficult. This was a really tough call for the Biden administration. And as Karine Jean-Pierre said, it was either Brittney or no one. Given that, it seems like they made a tough call, but maybe the right call to get her back, because it wouldn't have happened otherwise. Former U.S. Ambassador to Russia and NBC News international affairs analyst Michael McFaul. It's great to see you, as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.